second delegation came and Bilam again inquired of God, God, can I please go? Hashem said, okay, fine, go, but it's not going to be good for you. You're going to be embarrassed, and against your will, you will have to bless the Jewish people. Verse 21. Bilam arose in the morning and saddled his she-donkey, a female donkey, and went with the officers of Moab. And here the Torah reveals to us that Bilam was not riding a horse, even though he was such a great man. He was riding a donkey, and not even a male donkey who would be more resilient. He chose a female donkey. And later the officers of Balak asked him, where's your horse? We thought you're such an amazing, honorable person. You should be riding a chariot with horses. And Bilam was embarrassed to admit that he doesn't have a horse. He only has a female donkey. And he said, my horses, I didn't know you're going to come, so I sent them to the pasture. They're far away. But this is a very urgent matter. I have to help your king, so I'm not going to wait. You see how nice I am? I'm rushing to help you so much that I don't even worry about my own honor. But of course he was lying, and he was trying to protect himself, that they shouldn't reveal the secret. Why does he have a female donkey? And then later we will find out that really this donkey was Bilam's wife. He used it as his wife. Why? For two reasons. Number one, Bilam had a desire that could be unfulfilled if someone who has free will refuse, just like a man and a wife have freedom of choice, and they can say, I'm not available. But he couldn't handle a no, and therefore he got himself a female donkey. And the second reason, a more serious reason, is that in order to practice witchcraft and sorcery, a person must be defiled. He must be impure. And a way to make yourself defiled is to do something that is so forbidden, so lowly, that the spirit of impurity will descend upon such a person immediately. And that is bestiality. That is having forbidden relations with animals. And in order to be able to have access to negative energy, he had a pet female donkey. A similar energy can be accessed from other forms of impurity. For example, impurity of the dead body. That is why a lot of sorcery and occult practices are based on dead bodies. And another form of impurity is menstrual blood. And that's why witchcraft is very common, or used to be common among women, because during the time when they were menstruating, they had an easier time to access black magic and negative energy. And that is why Bilam couldn't have a regular woman as his wife, because only at the time when she's menstruating he would have access to negative energy. When she's not, he would have hard time. So he got himself a female donkey, contact with which, improper contact with which, would give him access to black magic anytime he wished. So we're on page 861. God's wrath flared because he was going. Bilam was going against God's will. And now Hashem tries to stop Bilam 3 times. An angel of Hashem stood on the road to impede him. And the she-donkey saw the angel of Hashem standing on the road with his sword drawn in his hand. So the she-donkey turned away. The donkey felt or saw an angel standing with his sword. And the donkey understood the danger and stopped. And Balaam struck the she-donkey to turn it back onto the road. And they continued on their way, and an angel of Hashem stood in the path of the vineyards, a fence on this side and a fence on that side. And the she-donkey saw the angel again and pressed against the wall. And it pressed Balaam's leg against the wall. It was a stone fence, and the donkey became so scared that it pressed against the wall and squeezed the leg of Balaam. And he was injured. And he continued to strike it. He was beating it for the second time. Verse 26, the angel of Hashem went further and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn right or left. And she-donkey saw the angel of Hashem and crouched beneath Balaam. No way to go, can't go right, can't go left. It was a narrow place. So she just sat down. And Balaam's anger flared up, and he struck the she-donkey with a staff, continued beating it. Verse 28, a miracle happens. Hashem opened the mouth of the she-donkey, and it said to Balaam, what have I done to you that you struck me these 3 times? All of a sudden, Balaam hears voice from his donkey. And what does he do? Balaam said to the she-donkey, because you mocked me, because I'm trying to go and you are stopping on the way 3 times. Look at Balaam. He is hearing his donkey speak, and he's so preoccupied with his anger and his self-absorbed image, and being so upset at the donkey, why didn't you do what I asked you to do? That he forgets reality. Donkey is speaking? Why is the donkey speaking? Doesn't bother him. He's angry and he has to express his anger. And he falls so low as to make a donkey his opponent. You mocked me. You made fun of me. And now he's upset at the donkey. And he threatens the donkey. If only there were a sword in my hand, I would now have killed you. That's how crazy a man becomes when he gets angry. He loses his mind. Now, the she-donkey speaks again and says to Balaam, am I not your she-donkey that you have ridden all your life until this day? Which is a euphemism for marital relations. Have I been accustomed to do such a thing to you? And the word accustomed also in the Torah is sometimes used. Hahasken, hiskanti, is also used for marital relations. And Balaam said one word, no. Donkey challenged Balaam and said, didn't you realize that something is unusual? Did I ever do anything against you? Did I ever refuse to do your will? And Balaam said, no, you didn't. He admitted his guilt. Page 863. Then Hashem uncovered Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of Hashem standing on the road with his sword drawn in his hand. So Balaam bowed his head and prostrated himself on his face. The angel of Hashem said to him, why did you strike your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I went out to stop you. The donkey saw me and you didn't. The donkey tried to protect you. Had it not turned away from me, I would now even have killed you and let it live. If the donkey didn't stop and you continued on your way, I would kill you. So Balaam said to the angel of Hashem, I have sinned. For I did not know that you were standing opposite me on the road. And now, if it is evil in your eyes, I shall return. Although Hashem already told him that he shouldn't go. Balaam is pretending as if he didn't know. Angel, if you don't want me to go, just say so. I'm not gonna go. But the angel of Hashem said to Balaam, go with the man, but only the word that I shall speak to you, that shall you speak. So Balaam went with the officers of Balak. Verse 36. Balak heard that Balaam had come, so he went out toward him to the city of Moab, the capital city. Balak said to Balaam, why did you not come to me? Am I not capable of honoring you? And in his words, he hinted that yes, there will come a time when that I will not be able to honor you. Because when Balaam blessed the Jewish people against his will, Balak sent him away with anger and refused to pay him. Balaam said to Balak, am I empowered to say anything? Whatever God puts into my mouth, that I shall speak. So Balaam went with Balak to preview the job site. They came to Kriyat Chutzot. He showed him from afar the Jewish nation. Balak slaughtered cattle and sheep, 1 cow and 1 lamb, and sent to Balaam and 2 officers who were with him to eat. And it was in the morning. Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the heights of Baal, and from there he saw the edge of the people. And according to commentators, they also visited a Moabite idol to serve it. Now on page 865, Balaam said to Balak, build for me here 7 altars and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams. Before trying to curse the Jews, Balaam tries to imitate the Jews. And he says, the Jewish people serve God on the altar with animals. Let me do the same. Perhaps I will be able to appease God and allow me to curse them. Verse 4, God happened upon Balaam, and Balaam said to Hashem, I have prepared the 7 altars and brought up a bull and a ram on each altar. As if to say, I've done my part, I gave you a bribe, now do my will. Hashem put an utterance in Balaam's mouth and said, go back to Balak, and thus shall you say. So he came back and he declaimed his parable and said, from Aram, Balak, king of Moab, led me from the mountains of the east. Come, curse Yaakov for me. Come, bring anger upon Israel. Here he invokes both names of the Jewish people because he's not sure which name the curse will fall upon. So he tries both. Yaakov, Israel, he's filling it out. But then the message of God overpowers him and he says, how can I curse? God has not cursed. How can I anger? Hashem is not angry. For from its origin, from the origin of the Jewish people, I see it rock-like, and from hills do I see it. Behold, it is a nation that will dwell in solitude and will not be reckoned among the nations. These 2 expressions, it is a nation that dwells in solitude and it will not be reckoned, it will not be counted among the nations, sound like the same. They're alone and they're not counted with the nations. But in fact, they refer to 2 stages of the Jewish history. The first is our part of history where we go through life with challenges. The nations of the world oppress us, they accuse us, they separate themselves from us, they consider us to be lowly, poisonous, accursed. and they don't want to have anything to do with us. That's what it says. It will dwell in solitude in this world. Everyone chases us. And the second part is talking about in the future, and it will not be counted among the nations. When the final time of reckoning comes, when the final time of judgment comes, all the nations will be judged and punished, but the Jewish people will not be among them. They will be separated, like always, this time for good. Now we turn to page 867. He continues his prophecy. Who has counted the dust of Yaakov, or numbered even a quarter of the Israel? May my soul die the death of the upright, and may my end be like his. Here he sees how the Jewish people will be successful during their history, and especially at the end of times. And he says, wow, I wish I could die like that. And the question is, why not live like that? If you live honestly, you will die an honest person. You can't live as a crook and die as an honest person. But Bilam thinks it's possible. I want to live the way I want, but I want to die the death of upright. Balak said to Bilam in horror, what have you done to me? To curse my enemy have I brought you. But behold, you have even blessed. Now, Balak tries another place. Balak said to him, go now with me to a different place, and you will curse it for me from there. And again he built 7 altars and brought up a bull and a ram on each altar. Verse 16, Hashem happened upon Bilam and put an utterance in his mouth and said, go back to Balak, and so shall you say. He declaimed his parable and said, verse 19, God is not a man that he should be deceitful, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. Would he say and not do, or speak and not confirm? Behold, to bless have I received, God has blessed, and I shall not contradict it. And now the blessing starts. God perceived no sin in Yaakov, and saw no perversity in Israel. Hashem, his God, is with him, and the friendship of the ultimate King of Kings is with the Jewish people. God treats us as if he's our friend. It is God who brought them out of Egypt according to the power of his holiness, loftiness. Now on page 869, the blessing continues. For there is no divination, no sorcery in Yaakov, and no sorcery in Israel. Even now it is said to Yaakov and Israel what God has done. When the Jewish people need to know what the right thing is, they don't need to ask sorcerers or diviners. They ask God himself through prophets or through Urim v'Tumim or through our sages. Behold, the people will arise like a lion cub and raise itself like a lion. It will not lie down until it consumes prey, all their enemies, and drinks the blood of the slain. So here he predicts military successes of the Jewish people throughout history. Balak gets angry. Balak said to Bilam, neither shall you curse them at all, nor shall you bless them at all. Now, for a third time he tries. Balak said to Bilam, go now, and I shall take you to a different place. Perhaps it will be proper in God's eyes that you will curse them from me from there. Bilam said to Balak, okay, build for me here 7 altars and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams again. And they did so. Chapter 24. Bilam's third attempt and the third blessing. Bilam saw that it was good in the in Hashem's eyes to bless the Jewish people. So he did not go as every other time toward divinations. He didn't even try. But he set his face toward the wilderness. And our sages say that he looked at the place where Jewish people sinned in the past. He tried to remind Hashem, remember how they sinned over there? Balaam raised his eyes and saw Israel dwelling according to its tribes, and the Spirit of God was upon him. He declaimed his parable and said, and here come beautiful words of blessing that we use till today. Every day in prayer, and the blessing that we give to a newly married couple. How goodly are your tents, O Yaakov, your dwelling places, O Israel. And we bless the new couple that they should build a house that should be good and beautiful, stretching out like brooks, like gardens by a river, like beautiful plants, aloe plants planted by Hashem, like cedars, powerful trees by water. Water shall flow from his wells, and his children shall be by abundant waters. His king shall be exalted over Agag. That's a prediction that the Jewish king will conquer the nation of Amalek and kill their king Agag. And his kingdom, the Jewish kingdom, shall be upraised, as it was in the times of David and Shlomo, and as it will be in the times of the king Mashiach. It is God who brought him out of Egypt according to the power of his loftiness. He will consume the nations that oppress him and crush their bones, and his arrows shall pierce them. Again, prediction of military victory of the Jewish people with the help of God. He crouched and lay down like a lion, and like a lion cub. Who can stand him up? Those who blessed you, the Jewish people, are blessed, and those who curse the Jewish people are accursed. Balak is very angry now. Balak's anger flared up against Balaam, and he clapped his hands. Balak said to Balaam, "To curse my enemies did I summon you, and behold, you have continually blessed them these 3 times. Now flee to your place. I said I would honor you, but behold, Hashem has withheld you from honor." Now turn to page 873. Balaam admitted his defeat, and in verse 14 he said, "Now I will go to my people. Come, I shall advise you what this people will do to your people in the end of days." And now he gives prophecy, prediction of what will happen to various nations. First, what will happen to Moabites? "I shall see him, but not now. I shall look at him, but it is not near." He's saying the Jewish people in the future will have a fight against Moabites. "A star has issued from Yaakov, and a scepter bearer, a king, has risen from Israel. And he shall pierce the nobles of Moab, and undermine all the children of Shet." Now prediction about Edom. Edom shall be a conquest, and Israel will attain success. Edom are the children of Esav. And now prediction about the power of the Jewish people in the end of days. "One from Yaakov shall rule and destroy the remnant of the city." And now prediction about Amalek. He saw Amalek and declaimed his parable and said, "Amalek is the first among nations to attack the Jewish people, but its end will be eternal destruction." And now a positive prophecy about the people of Caini. He saw the Canaanite and declaimed parable and said, "Strong is your dwelling, and set in a rock is your nest." Because the people of Canaan, who were descendants of Yitro, were friendly to the Jewish people, Bilam sees that their end will be good. Page 875. He continued his prophecy and said, "Oh, who will survive when God imposes these? At the end of days, when there will be final war, who will survive? Big ships from the coast of Kittim will afflict Assyria." And there are various interpretations what this means. What are these big ships? And Assyria, we know, is in the Middle East. What is Kittim? And afflict the other bank of the river, of the Euphrates River. But it too, that mysterious nation of Kittim, will be forever destroyed. Some say this refers to Romans fighting against Babylonians and winning, and then Romans themselves being destroyed. Some see in this the future war between the Western world and the Muslim world, Christianity against Islam, and both of them will be destroyed. Now, verse 25. Then Balaam rose up and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went on his way. They parted ways. Chapter 25. In addition to giving his prophecy of the end of days, Balaam also gave advice to Balak how to deal with the Jewish people. And he said, "The God of the Jews hates immorality. Wherever there is immorality, there is God's anger. If you can incite the Jews, if you can lure them in to sin, God will become angry with them and God will destroy them. You don't have to fight them." So the Jewish people settled in the Shittim, and the people began to stray toward harlotry with the daughters of Moab. Moabites, out of fear, they commanded their young ladies to dress up and go and seduce the Jews. And some of them succeeded. They invited the people to the feast of their gods, of idols, and the Jewish people unfortunately ate and prostrated themselves to their gods. Israel became attached to Baal Peor. And our sages say that this was not because they believed in this idol, but rather because the Moabite prostitutes invited the Jews and they said, "If you are interested in me, you have to bow down to my idol." And the Jews said, "Okay, if that's the price, I'll bow down for fake. I know it's not true. I'll bow down just so that she will be available to me." And wrath of Hashem flared up against Israel. And Hashem said to Moshe, "Take all the leaders of the people, those that were involved in this public display of immorality, and hang them before Hashem, and the flaring wrath of Hashem will withdraw from Israel. Punish those that are leading this immoral behavior." Moshe said to the judges of Israel, "Let each man kill his men who were attached to Baal Peor." And then, behold, a man of the children of Israel came and brought a Midianite woman near to his brothers. This was a leader of the camp of Shimon. And he brought a princess of the Midianites. And he committed immoral act with her publicly, in sight of Moshe and in sight of the entire assembly of the children of Israel. And they were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting. When they saw what's going on, and they couldn't do anything, they started crying. And at that moment of chaos, Pinchas, son of Elazar, the grandson of Aharon the Kohen, saw what's going on, and he stood up alone from amid the assembly and took a spear in his hand. He followed the Israelite man into the tent and pierced both of them while they were engaged in the act, the Israelite man and the woman in her stomach.